Actually, you can come stand over here. You're just not allowed to turn around and look at me. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to tell me how to make this sandwich. And I'm going to do exactly what you say.
Detail.
And into the mic, so I can, I'm getting old.
Okay, so first, grab.
No, hey, the number one rule is you cannot help him, okay?
Everybody be quiet.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, open the bag of bread and get 2 pieces.
All right.
And then you're gonna open the jelly.
All right.
And then you're gonna put the knife in the jelly. And then you're gonna put it on 1 piece of bread, and then you're gonna spread it around.
Hang on. Put the knife in the jelly,
Yeah.
put it on 1 piece of bread, and spread it around.
Yeah, spread it around.
Okay? What's next?
Then you're gonna put the knife in the peanut butter, and then spread it around on the other piece of bread.
Alright, this is going to get short. Alright, put the knife into the peanut butter, right?
Yeah.
Put it on the other piece of bread,
Yeah.
and spread it around. Okay? Then what?
And then you put the bread. You put the piece of bread with the peanut butter on the other piece of bread.
Alright, the knife's kind of in the way, but I'll just do the best I can. Alright? Now what?
I mean, you can eat it if you want.
Alright, here's a sandwich you made. You can turn around. Would you like to eat it?
I mean.
Alright, does anybody think they can do better? Alright, wait, who raised their hand the first time? It was one of the girls back here. Alright, you come on up. We'll reset. Does somebody mind to grab me a napkin? I didn't think about the mess. Hey, that was pretty good though. That was pretty good. Pretty good. You can sleep there. On your water. Nah. You got to too? No, I'm kidding. Alright. Hey, wait, walk on up a little bit. I can see your eyes a little bit. Walk that way. Or you can stand like that. That's good. Alright, we're reset on everything, okay?
Okay, so take 2 pieces of bread out of the bag.
Alright.
And then separate the 2 pieces of bread.
Okay.
Okay, then grab the knife.
Alright.
And then open the jelly.
Alright.
Then put the knife in the jelly.
Okay.
Now get jelly on the knife, or the jelly inside of the bottle. And then take the knife out.
The jelly is inside the bottle, that is correct.
Take the knife out of the jelly with jelly on the knife.
Alright.
And then take the knife and put it inside the peanut butter bottle.
Okay. What now?
Okay, now take the knife out of the peanut butter bottle.
Okay. Don't help her. What's next?
And then put the peanut butter on the bread and spread it around.
Okay. Then what?
And then put the 2 pieces of bread together.
Okay.
Okay, I guess you can eat it.
Alright, here's your sandwich. I did exactly as you told me. Alright, anybody else want to give it a try? Alright, we'll go. I'll let you pick, but it can't be somebody on your row. Like somebody in the back.
Andrew.
Alright. Reset on everything.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Using your hands, please take out 2 pieces of bread from the bread bag.
Okay.
Once you've gotten the bread, put 1 piece of bread on the table and put the other one next to it. Okay, after that, take the knife in your right hand. Then take the peanut butter in your left hand, the peanut butter jar. Alright, using your right hand with the knife, scoop out some of the peanut butter in the jar. You can stop at any moment you feel like.
I'll get there eventually. Alright, peanut butter scooped out.
Okay. I don't know what you've done. Alright, now you can use your right hand with the knife and the peanut butter, and you should spread it on the piece of bread on your right.
Alright.
Okay. Okay. You take the jelly with your left hand.
Okay.
Then take the knife and stick it in the jelly. And you can mix it up just a little bit. Just mix it up. Mix it up.
It's not working.
Take the jar of jelly in your left hand, please. Take the knife in your right hand and stick it in the jelly jar.
I'm trying, man.
There's no need to bang, okay?
I'm going there.
That entire time, you're not welding anything together.
Alright.
Nothing is a hammer.
Alright.
It shouldn't sound like anything.
Alright, I have the knife in one hand and the jar is in the other hand. What would you like me to do?
Okay, well just take one jar. Just have one jar
Yes.
of the jelly. Just have that in your hand.
Yep.
Okay, now take the knife and stick it in the jelly.
Hey, give him a round of applause.
You made progress though.
Yeah, this was easier to bust open than that one. Alright, hey, all of you all did a great job with that. I should have thought about how sticky this peanut butter was. Alright, let me move this
I
now.
forgot to open the lid. I thought it was banging on the.
Alright, one of the things I want you guys to gather tonight, and you kind of, on the front, you may not see be able to see the PowerPoint as well, but direction, not intention, leads to destination. Like, that's the key thing I want you to take away tonight. That direction, not intentions, leads to your destination. They intended they thought they knew how to make a sandwich. Their intention was to make a sandwich, but man, if they didn't get that first step in the direction right, it quickly spiraled out of control, right? And there's a couple different things in life. When you think about direction, I want you to think of your next step that you're taking in your life. You may have a lot of intentions in life. I would say your intention may be you don't want to fail a test, right? Most people don't want to fail a test, right? You may want to be better at a sport or activity. You may want to gain the trust of your parents so you can get more freedoms or the ability to go drive when you get to that point in life. You may intend to want to go to any school you want, right? For you to have any choice that, hey, I want to go there and it's going to be open to me. Maybe for you to have a certain job one day or to make a certain amount of money one day. That may be something you hope happens in the future. It may be you want to be a good boyfriend or girlfriend. It may be that you want to be a Christian. But what are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow to accomplish those goals? You can intend all you want for things to happen in life. For you to do good things or to earn this trust or to succeed in this thing. But depending on what you choose is going to determine where you end up in life. My wife and I, we got married back in 2011. That was right. No, yes. I didn't think she was going to be here for me to remember the year. But anyways, 2011, I believe that's right. She is from Winfield, Alabama. It's this like small town. They got like a Walmart and a drive-in theater, and that's about it. Our friends wanted to come to the wedding, and they typed in Winfield into their GPS, and I forget what state they ended up in. They got to Winfield, but it was either Winfield, Mississippi, Arkansas, huh?
Arkansas.
Yeah, it was not close. So like she gets a phone call like maybe an hour before our wedding, and it was just like, hey, we're in Winfield, we're not gonna make the wedding. Why? Like they wanted to be there, they were sad, it was a great memory, but their directions did not take them in the direction to end up at the destination of being at our wedding. The book of Ecclesiastes, can anybody tell me what that book's about? Alright, if you've never been on a first date, this is what it feels like. You just sit and stare at one another, there's awkward silence, one person's hoping the other person says something. Alright, let's try. Has anybody ever read a verse from it? Like, do you know the book of Ecclesiastes? Oh yeah, good. We're heard of it. Does anybody know anything about the book? Does it talk about creation? Does it talk about kings? Like, no?
I was going to say the name starts with an E.
That is correct. We're getting places. All right. Yes. A lot of people like Solomon's most likely. It doesn't name him in the book, but the internal evidence points to that. Yep. It is in the Bible. What part of the Bible? Anybody know?
New Testament.
There we go. You're hurting Craig's feelings. Some of you aren't listening while he's up there. I know you're in the pews. All right, it's in the Old Testament. What do you know about Solomon? What's he known for? Huh?
Wisdom.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so Ecclesiastes are part of the books that talk about wisdom in the Bible. All right, so the whole purpose of it is to talk about things in life, and at the end result, it's hoping to pass on wisdom to us. The book of Proverbs, anybody familiar with that? That's also a book of wisdom as well. All right, so in Ecclesiastes, you got most likely Solomon talking, and you're going to see up on the screen Ecclesiastes 1, verse 2. Somebody want to read that for me out loud? Nice and loud. You just go ahead. Sorry, you don't have to raise your hand. You can just read. Go for it. Go.
Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity.
All right, yeah, that almost sounded like a rap song to some degree, right? You just repeat the same word over and over again. All right, vanity. Anybody know what that means? Not what you have in your bathroom.
It's pointless, it doesn't mean anything.
All right, pointless. Yeah, like the actual word would be like a vapor. It's something that just disappears on you. There's not substance there. There's not value to it. So he's saying, hey, vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Well, what does he mean by all this kind of like pointless, or it ends, or it doesn't hold kind of that eternal value? So we're going to look at a little bit of that tonight. This writer is searching kind of for the meaning of life. Like, hey, what is it that I can invest my life in that's going to be worth it? Anything in life takes work, right? Friendships take work. Families take work. Getting money one day takes work. And education takes work. To be beautiful takes work. I did not put in the effort. All right, so everything in life takes work to get some act. So he wants to say, hey, I got all this time of my life. What is worth the effort and work into these things? So in your life, what do you feel like is worth it? Most of you go to school. Some of you probably are straight A students. You believe that it's worth the extra work to get good grades, to open up your opportunities for college, for future jobs. Some of you are like, hey, I'm not sold that that extra work is worth it. So you just try to get B's, maybe you get C's. You just want to get by, not have your parents mad at you because you don't believe that that's worth the extra work. All right, so that's kind of your different philosophies. In Ecclesiastes 1, we're not going to read through this whole book, but if you've never read it, read parts of it. It doesn't flow like a narrative because it's wisdom, but there's some good stuff in there. So at the first part, chapter 1, 12 through 14, he's going to talk about knowledge. Hey, I got all these resources to learn and read all these books, and he's saying, hey, all that knowledge at the end of the day, I still feel like it's vanity. And then he's going to go into self-indulgence. That's kind of a long word. Anybody know what self-indulgence is? I didn't either. I just put it in here because it sounded cool. No. What would you guess self-indulgence is?
It's whenever you just focus so much on yourself that that's all you can think about and you just focus.
Yeah, that was great. a dictionary one day. All right, so self-indulgence is all just what can I do in the moment to make me happy. Like, so here's going to be some of the things he pursues. He pursues laughter. Now, this is a king. So when we say laughter, we don't just mean like, oh, he's going to make some jokes. Like, he can bring in all the top comedians of the world and make him laugh and enjoy that. So kind of entertainment to some degree, but laughter. And he says, hey, not worth it. Then he talks about wine. He's like, hey, I'm going to pursue getting drunk, and maybe that will bring me happiness and fulfillment. And he's like, no. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to build houses, plant vineyards, gardens, parks, and pools. So I'm just going to build a bunch of cool stuff, and maybe that will make me happy. He's like, no. Then he brought in servants to take care of anything that he would want. I bet some of you some days are like, man, I wish I could have just tell somebody to go do something for me. Maybe you want to be a boss one day so you can just boss other people around, and oh, that would be so much easier. Then he was like, you know what? I'll pursue silver, gold, and treasures of kings. So we're not just talking about a little bit of allowance to go to like Walmart and buy a toy. We're talking about whatever you want to buy. Any vehicle you want to buy, whatever you can buy is at his fingertips. Then he talks about singers, and then he talks about pursuing sexual relationships with people as well. So anything that the world can sell you, like if you look at marketing and commercials, it's going to hit on all these categories. And he's saying, hey, I pursued all these to the fullest. Like he is a king. He can do whatever he wants, call anybody into his presence. And he says, all this is vanity. Like all this isn't worth it. Like what? There has to be something in life that's worth my pursuit of this. And he says, you know what? I built all these things, and you know what? One day I'm going to die. And what value is it? Like it could be left to somebody that is a fool and doesn't take care of it, and like I could work at all this stuff, and what does it really matter in life? And then in Ecclesiastes 5:10, he says, who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with his income. This also is vanity. Now, if I told you that, you'd be like, okay, Brian, like you're a preacher, like you don't make that much money. Like if I made millions of dollars, I think that may be worth the effort. Like remember, this is coming from a king, somebody whose wealth you will never even fathom. Like I don't care what you do, it's not going to amount to Solomon's wealth. And then Ecclesiastes 5:15, he says, and he's speaking of somebody that pursues these things, he says, he came from his mother's womb, he will go again naked as he came. He shall take nothing for his toil, that he may carry away with his hand. Like if you think about a baby, they literally have nothing when they come into the world. And he's saying, that's how you will go one day. It doesn't matter like how much money you have. It doesn't matter what company you built. Like one day, everyone will end up the same at death. Like they don't get to bring anything into the afterlife. Then the final two verses of the book here, and I'm going to have it on the overhead here. Somebody want to read this. This is Ecclesiastes 12, 13, and 14. Just first one to start reading against it.
The end of the matter, the end of the matter, all has been heard. For God and keep His commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil.
All right. So he says at the end of the matter, once I pursued all these different things, he says what is most important has been for me to keep God's commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. Not 10%, not half of what life is about. He says, hey, I pursued all these things, and this is my purpose of living. This is where we can find fulfillment. This is where we can find something that's not just a vapor that we can touch one day and then it's gone the next day. And he says, why does he say this? He says, because one day we're going to do what? We're going to die, and what will happen? We will stand before God, right? And be judged. Now, hopefully, and I'm going to make an assumption here, and if it's not true for you, then I hope you come back another week, because I know Philip will cover this regularly for you guys. But I'm going to assume that you guys want to pursue Jesus. So I'm going to skip past that. And if you're new to Christianity or faith, like come back another week, and they will cover why you should do those things. But I'm going to make the assumption tonight that you're wanting to pursue Jesus. That when you say, you know what, I want to be a follower of God, I want to be a Christian. And when I say Christian, if I ever say Christian in this lesson, I don't mean like you call yourself Christian, but like you are seeking after Jesus, like you're a follower of Him. So if you say, hey, I want to be a Christian, like I want to follow Jesus, that's your intention, then how do we make sure that's our direction? Like that's our destination, that we're making those steps. I got 3 things for you. The first one is you need to clarify your destination. You got to know where you're going, right? and this is not a bad statement, and we sing songs about it, but I'm not a big fan of the statement, well, my sole mission in life is to get to heaven. Like, yes, that's a good thing, but that's too abstract to me. And to me, it comes across almost kind of like a pass or fail. Like, if I can just be good enough, or if I can just say I'm a Christian, like, that's my goal in life. To me, I like to focus a little bit more on I want to be like Jesus. It's a little bit more tangible, and a thing I want you to think about tonight, I want you, when you set your goals, to have something that's prayable and tangible. Like something that you can measure and something that you can pray about. So even being like Jesus is kind of vague, right? Like if I said, hey, this week I want you to be more like Jesus, I got like a million questions if somebody says that. Like I'm not really like, I want the details. If somebody says to do a job, like I always will have questions. Like how do you want this? How do you want that? Like so if somebody just said, be like Jesus, I'm like what does that mean? Like, so I got a couple suggestions for you. Instead of just saying, hey, I want to be like Jesus, I want you, maybe for this week, maybe for this day, maybe for this school year, you're going to go to a verse like Galatians chapter 5, 22 and 24. Anybody know Galatians chapter 5? I'll give you a hint. It's a VBS song. I love that you can't sit still while you do this. Like, you got to kind of balance. Like, I won't sing it. All right, so you have the fruit of the spirits, right? You know how much harder it is to say, hey, you know what? I don't just want to be like Jesus this week, but I want to be patient this week. That's a lot harder. And I can quantify that better. Like if I lose my patience with my kids, then I'll be like, oh no, I lost it again. But when I did sports, I wasn't like, sports tested my Christianity a little bit. Like I was very competitive and I like to get under people's skin. I still do when I play sports, but like, for a while, I would have to write down things on my hands just to remind me. Like, because I could say, like, oh, I want to be a Christian, but, like, I would have to write something a little bit more detailed on there to remind myself of, like, no, this is your goal. So what I want you to do this week, if you're taking notes or just mental notes, I'm going to give you a couple different options here. I want you to pick something to say, hey, for today, the rest of the day, or for the rest of this week, I want to grow in this area. Like, when I compare my life to Jesus, that's my destination, that's where I want to get to, and I just want to take one step today closer to Jesus. And when you wake up the next morning, you're going to say, hey, I want to take one step closer to Jesus. And it may be a different goal. If you may have failed the day before and you're like, hey, I need to work on this a little bit more, I'm going to pray about it and I'm going to pursue this again, one more step to Jesus. Because the thing is, if we just put it on cruise control, unless you're way better than me, my cruise control is to drift farther away from Jesus. Because I, like Solomon, will get distracted by all these different things, whether it's money, whether it's comfort. I'm going to see in life, in the moment, what will make me happy, what will make me comfortable right now. So unless you're setting that goal, like it's not, you're going to end up drifting away, and you're going to be over here banging on a can of jelly and thinking, why isn't this working? Like, hey, it's been 3 years now that I've been a Christian. Why am I the same person that I was 3 years ago? And it's because you never took that step closer to Jesus. So, Romans chapter 12, 9 through 21, write that down if you're taking notes. This is another one that will just list about, 10 to 12 different things, like let love be genuine, and it's just going to go through and list some things that are characteristics of what it is to follow Jesus. And in 1 Corinthians 13, anybody been to a wedding before? All right, this verse was probably said at a wedding. Anybody, you got a question? Is it a good one? All right, that's a good question. Romans 12, 9 through 21.
Okay, and what was the Colossians? Corinthians, my bad.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't think I mentioned Colossians. I messed up this lesson. All right, 1 Corinthians 13 is going to be 4 through 7. Anybody can tell me? Anybody been to a wedding? Maybe they say this on the Hallmark Channel. I don't know. But what does it say? Anybody know any of them?
What?
Love is. All right, so how many of you, don't put your hand up because I don't want to like embarrass anybody, but just mentally raise your hand. How many of you love your parents? How many of you, that was a little bit too much hand motion for mental. All right, how many of you love your siblings? All right. Now, how many of you in the past 24 hours were rude to either your parents or your siblings? Well, don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. Y'all fail on this. All right. But you see how changing that a little bit makes it a little bit more challenging and a better reminder. So working with kids in the past, this is what I've had kids do. I've had some people like would write stuff on their bathroom mirror. Like I had a lot of kids that would do that. They would write it on their bathroom mirror, or if they were driving, a lot of times they would put it on their dash. And it would be their spiritual goal of that week, like what they were working on, what they were planning on, like, hey, I want to be more patient, or hey, I want to pray for one of my friends. And they would put that name or that thing on their bathroom mirror. Some of them would give buddy, and this worked really well, and they would be like 2 or 3 in a group text, and they would just like text their goal for that day of what they wanted to do at school. Like, hey, I want to be more patient, or hey, I want to show appreciation to this teacher. And they just kind of held themselves accountable in that way. But anyways, make those some of your goals. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, it says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand so that we would walk in them." We are created to do good works. Like, stop and think about that for a moment. Like, as a Christian, like, your purpose is to do good. Like, even if somebody doesn't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, you know what they will believe? That Jesus went around doing good and loving other people. Like, no one can argue with the fact that Jesus was a man who went around and loved other people. And you know what the biggest thing that people say about Christians today? Is we don't go around loving people. So, just kind of think about that in the 2 ways. Number 2, you got to figure out who's on your team. Who really loves you. Like, who really cares about you as an individual and about your soul? I hope you have experienced that love here in the church. In this rooms, when you walk through these doors, I hope you have experienced love. People who pray for you, people who give their money for you to spend time with one another. I want you to stop and think about this for a moment. You realize, as a youth, like, you guys have your own building. Like, just stop and think about it. Because for a lot of you, you've always been here. Like, you don't know anything different. You literally have your own building. You know how this got here? Because people that don't know you bought it. Like, they said, hey, this is for sale. Why don't we buy this so that kids can come to know Jesus? You know, like tonight, if one of you came to me and said, hey, I want to go to camp next year, but I don't have money. And this gives me chills thinking about this. I could walk across that street, and in 10 minutes, I could have 100 people say, hey, I'll pay for that kid to go to church camp. Not because they know you, not because they're friends with your parents, but that's the beauty of the church. Those adults over there come here not because they just have friends here, but they understand God's love. And they're like, hey, I'll sacrifice for a kid to come to know Jesus, for a kid to experience camp, to experience the love of somebody else. And to me, that's amazing. You probably have experienced this already, but there's been people in your life, probably at school, other kids, who you thought, hey, they love me, but when stuff happens, like, they turn their back. Or when your hobbies change, they were like, you know what, I don't have interest in that person anymore. Like, I don't experience that in the church. And the church is not perfect. Like, and that's the beauty of it. If the church is perfect, like, I have no place here. But in my brokenness, I can come here and experience the love of Jesus, and I can also share the love of Jesus with other people, because I've been loved in my brokenness as well. This past week, I shared this with somebody. I didn't realize I couldn't sing until I got out of high school. Like no joke, I cannot sing. Like, I say I sing a 5-part harmony. You got like everybody else, and I'm just doing my own thing over here. But I would lead singing, and all these people would be like, oh man, especially the old ladies, they'd be like, oh, you do such a good job, I love that song, like, I wish you would sing more. I don't know why they, like, I'm not saying they lied to me, but like, they truly thought it was great, just because they were like, hey, this is a young man that's willing to get up there, conquer his spirit, and sing. Then I got to college, and people were like, dude, you can teach, but like, you can't sing, like, at all. Like, and I was just like, oh, okay, people said to do it, so I did it. Like, but to me, that's just a reminder of like, the love of the church. Like, it's people that care about you as an individual. In Ephesians chapter 5, 1 through 2, it says, therefore be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love, just as Christ also loved you, and gave himself up for you as an offering and sacrifice to God, as a fragrant aroma. But here's the thing. You have to accept who you are and to be cool with it. Like, we're all weird. Like, I'm weird. Like, I'm really weird, I know. Somehow somebody still decided to marry me, and like, I still have kids that love me, and friends, and church that was like, hey, yeah, you can come and serve along other weird people. Like, but for real, like, Let me say that again. You have to accept who you are and be okay with it. Because if you don't, like, you're not going to experience that love, and you're not going to be in a position where you can show that love to other people. Because our insecurities block away all that. If we're insecure about who we are, guess who we're going to listen to? Everybody else that's telling us, hey, you need to do this, you need to be like this is wrong with you, like, hey, people don't love you, like, you're not talented, like, all those negative things that people who don't actually love us, like, we will believe them if we're insecure about who we are. But if we say, hey, you know what, like, I know I'm different, like, I know I'm weird, like, then you'll be able to see who really loves you. Like, if you can get comfortable with who you are and not listen to all the negative things and people that try to tear you down, your eyes literally will be open to, hey, these are the people that truly care about me as an individual. I guarantee you it will be people here in this room that you will see that. All right, let's get ahead to our third one. The third one is a renewed focus. Now, I want you to think about this. There's this lady that came to Atlanta, and she's from Ethiopia. And she was winning this race that was 6.2 miles. Like, she's winning. I'm sure she trained her whole life to this, like, come to America, and this is how she's going to make her money, and this is her career. She's winning this race with only 150 meters left. That's like a football field and a half. Like, it equates to about 164 yards. So a football field and a half is left out of this over 6-mile race. And you know what she does? She loses focus, and she turns off the course. And by the time somebody was able to say, hey, like, you got to go that way, second place passed her. And she couldn't catch back up to her. Like, it was hers. Like, it was clearly her race to win. Like, that lady was not going to catch her. But she lost focus. She lost the race. She lost $7,000, I think, as well, the difference between first and second place. So today, you can say, you know what? Today, I'm going to be better. Today, I'm going to focus on this one thing, that I'm going to take that one step in the right direction so I can end up at my destination of a life of serving God. And that's the easy part. What's harder is when the week goes on, then a month goes on, and a year goes on. How do you renew that passion and that discipline? In Romans chapter 12, 1 through 2, it says, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So how do we accomplish that transformation? To become like Jesus is to renew your mind. So, how can we do that? Psalms 119:11, this is David, most likely speaking, I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. To me, this is a powerful verse. One, because it shows intentionality. Not just, hey, I hope one day I don't turn my back on God, or hey, I hope one day I don't do X, Y, and Z that hurts the people I love. But David says, most likely David, hey, I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. So to renew your mind, to me, it's in Scripture. Not just to read the Bible, but to memorize the Bible. And then it will come up in situations that will give you that strength to avoid those temptations and to avoid those mistakes. I also think of prayer. I love Matthew 6:8. It says, do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. You know why I love that about prayer? Because prayer is not me telling God things He doesn't know. Like, God already knows those things. So to me, that speaks volume that it's not about me informing God. It has something to do about my transformation and my intimacy with God and our relationship together. And to me, that is so comforting. It's not like I'm just like, hey, God, hey, be with this, or hey, I don't know if you know this, but so-and-so's parent died, or so. Like, no, God already knows those things, but it's about transforming who I am. Let's end with this. What can God not accomplish through you? I want to answer that out loud. I want you to think about that. What can God not accomplish through you? I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, not if you're being genuine in your answer. Not like, oh, I want millions of dollars. But like, of your goal of saying, you know what, God? I want to be more patient. God, I want to be able to forgive this friend who hurt me. Or God, I want to be able to share my faith with this friend that needs to come to know you. Or hey, God, I want to be more respectful to my parents. A lot of times people say, hey, that's just your personality. I don't believe that at all. Like, I've become a better person because of Jesus and my relationship with Him. And to you, I want you to believe that God can transform you if you use the things that He's given you. If you use Scripture and prayer and the church, like, God can do amazing things through you. He says, like, in Ephesians, like, He can do things that you can't even imagine, which is incredible. So I challenge you to believe God, to say, you know what, a year from now I can look back over my life and I can be a leader. I can be a voice for God. I can be a compassionate friend. I can be whatever your dream is that it is to be more like Jesus. Believe me, God can do that through you. I have this quote in my office. Let me check my time. All right, yeah. Sorry. I have a couple kids where I'm responsible for. I got to make sure they didn't need me. So I dropped them off at another church, 109 VBS. So this is the beginning of a new day. This is a quote in my office. This is the beginning of a new day. You have been given this day to use as you will. You can waste it or you can use it for good. What you do today is important because you're exchanging a day of your life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever. In its place is something you have left behind. Let it be something good. Direction, not intention, leads to destination. Today, you are making choices that shape your future, whether it's your career, your education, your relationship with your parents, relationships with your friends, what kind of leader you're going to be, what kind of Christian you're going to be. Today, you are making a day. Today, you change the day of your life for whatever you chose to use for the day. And my challenge to you is each day, renew your mind with where your destination wants to be, with what is most important in life. And let's not make the same mistake Solomon made. Let's believe the guy that had everything at his fingers and says, hey, you know what? At the end of life, what's most important is your relationship with God. Let's pray. Father, I thank you so much for these kids and these teens tonight, their desire to want to do what's good. Father, I pray that their eyes can be open to the love of you and of one another, of the church. Father, if anybody's visiting tonight, I hope they come back and they can be here when the whole group is together and they can just experience the love that can only be found through faith. Father, thank you for the leaders that are here tonight and their genuine love for these kids. And I pray that if anybody's struggling, that they won't suffer in silence, but they will reach out to a friend or one of these adults over here that care about them and will help them through their storm. Father, we thank you so much for prayer, that we don't have to be alone and that we can come to you as a God who already knows what we're struggling with and a God who says, hey, I will take that burden from you and I'll help you get through that storm. We thank you so much for Jesus, and I'll just pray in his name. Amen. Thanks for letting me be here with you.
Hold on. So, y'all can